Hi everyone, you're watching Good for the Game TV. You're live. It's Thursday night. It's 8:30. That means it's GG Gaming gone mad. Looking forward to another program where we have lots of promotions and competitions courtesy of GGGaming.bet. Well, a bit of a different show tonight. I can tell you Gary Lenton, he's taking a couple of weeks off. We've got some special guests coming in over the next few weeks. And I'm going to introduce you to him now. But first, let me just tell you that we've got a winner of our lucky draw competition last week. I'm not sure if he's live at the moment. I'm going to quickly go on and catch up with some of the live comments. But Vin Naidu, if you're out there, just indicate that you're there. You won the 500 Rand lucky draw, and that was for responding to Gary's competition on the semi-finals of the Curry Cup. So well done to Vin Naidu on your 500 Rand bet. You can contact me after the show as to how to get that. Guys, we've got lots of exciting promos to go through tonight. Of course, something for the boys live on the chat as well. We'll never leave them out. We're going to be playing for a little bit of a voucher there as well. So looking forward to having you there. But let me introduce a special guest. He's speaking to us. I'm gathering from Pretoria because he plays for Mamelodi Sundowns. He scored a goal last night in their 3-1 victory over Free State Stars. And it's Jeremy Brockie. Jeremy, good to have you on the show.
Good to see you, Brent. You well?
Yeah, very well. Well, thanks, man. Jeremy, I know it's amazing. You probably find a lot of the guys who are on our website and on this show, they're probably not massive local soccer fans. They follow the game from a distance. But all of a sudden, thanks to GG Gaming, Jeremy Brockie's a household name. And the reason, of course, is that they put up a special that when you score a goal, people can basically email them and they'll get a 500 Rand free bet.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I think they gave it to the first 50. And I'm not sure, I got in quite quickly, and I think I was one of the last to get my free bet.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic initiative by GG Gaming, and when the guys at GG Gaming brought the idea to me, I thought it was a fantastic idea, and we have 50 winners after my goal last night for Sundowns. It's been a while since I hit the back of the net, but hopefully. For the supporters and the pundits out there, I can start scoring a few more goals and giving a few more free bets away.
Well, that's it. I think GG Gaming will love that because they get great publicity out of that as well. And you were telling me before the show you made the move from SuperSport to Sundowns. I mean, that's like Derby. We were saying that's like moving from Pirates to Chiefs or Manchester City to Manchester United. Has it been a tough adjustment? I mean, do the fans on the SuperSport side give you a hard time?
It has been difficult. I don't think it's been difficult too much from a fan point of view. It's more the adjustment of moving to a bigger club and where there's more expectations and more pressure put on you from everyone sort of involved. And I had some very good memories and moments with SuperSport. Scored a lot of goals and won a few trophies, and was expected to slot straight in at Sundowns and do exactly the same, but it didn't quite go to plan, and it's been an adjustment period, and it was finally nice to hit the back of the net last night, and just in time for a big game against Pirates this weekend.
All right, well, I want to touch on your form in the English Premier League because you've been giving 5 tips every week on GG Gaming, and you've been doing pretty well. We'll go through that in a second. I just want to mention to the guys on the live chat, so the live competition, we're going to be giving away a 500 Rand betting voucher, and what you've got to do in this one, predict the minute of the first goal in the Manchester derby that's coming up on Sunday. So just predict the minute. The closest person is going to win the 500 voucher. You do that in the live comment section here. And if there's no goals in the game, we'll have a carryover. And if we have a tie between 2 players, we'll have a playoff the next week for the voucher. So that's a 500 Rand voucher. You don't have to worry about Gary's cert hitting or missing for this one. There will be a 500 Rand voucher given away, and you can get it in. And I see Sean Nicholas, he's a big Liverpool fan, by the way, Jeremy. He's come in the 19th minute. We got Emil Korf, 33rd minute. Neil, who I know won recently as well, Worthworth, he's coming in the 33rd minute. So if you like a minute of the game for the first goal, get your pick in early. I will be bringing the banners up at the end of the show. We'll go through in a little bit more detail. Just don't want to spend too much time on that now. But Jeremy, you've been making 5 picks a week for GG Gaming, and you were telling me you've hit 2 of your last 3 or something like that, or beginning 4. Yeah. What's been happening there?
Yeah, the last 2 weekends I've hit 5 out of 5 both weekends. So I'm not a pundit or too much of a gambler myself, but I obviously post the picks, and GG Gaming posts the picks every week, and there's a couple of very happy pundits out there that followed my picks and collected their money.
Well, I've had the advantage of listening to your picks now as we spoke before the show, and I was just running through the cumulative odds. I mean, if you hit your 5 this week, the odds are over 150 to 1. So the boys can take note of that. You may want to lump that into a multiple, but 150 to 1, and it's not as if we're talking about someone here who hasn't done it before. And Jeremy, let's have a look. We got 6 games taking place on Saturday and 4 on Sunday. Take us through the games that you fancy, and perhaps give us your picks, and I'll have a look at the betting while you're chatting and give some odds.
Yeah, okay. The first one, I've gone West Ham to beat Huddersfield. West Ham are away, but West Ham have hit a bit of form, and they've found goal scoring free flowing of late. So I think what Huddersfield's struggling, I think West Ham will come away with an away victory there.
Right, I can give you a price there, 13 to 10 on West Ham. So that would be the first leg of the multiple. What's next?
And then I've got Newcastle to win at home to Bournemouth. That's probably the one that pumps it up a little bit. Newcastle have been struggling, but they got their first win of the season last week, and I think that they'll back it up. Bournemouth have been doing well, but I think Newcastle might go on a bit of a winning streak now.
Right, 18 to 10 Newcastle. That's a nice price. They beat my team Watford, who I just can't catch right at the moment. They beat them last week, so that's 18 to 10 Newcastle. Just to quickly mention in the live comments, lots of entries coming. Great to see some new names coming in as well. Some of the regulars, of course, and yeah, we got loads of entries coming in for the derby match. Right, what's the next game there, Jeremy?
I've got Watford to beat Southampton. I think Southampton will be a bit damaged after what Man City done to them last weekend, and I like Watford. They're a pretty consistent team, and you know what you get from them, so I fancy them to pick up an away win.
Yeah, my view on Watford is they're a pretty consistent team. You know what you get from them, and that's inconsistency, because I just can't seem to find them right from a betting angle. But I do have a feeling as well that they could put Southampton away. Southampton being very poor, and that is 2 to 1. So we've got a 13 to 10, an 18 to 10, and a 2 to 1 so far.
Yeah, my next one is Chelsea and Everton to draw. That's probably a bit of an outsider, but Everton, I really like their squads, and they're known for a surprise every now and then. Chelsea are obviously in good form, but I think Everton might hold them to a point for that one.
Well, that's a massive price in context of your accumulator. That's 4 to 1. And that leaves us with 1 leg left. And I think you go in for a bit more of a banker in this particular case.
Yeah, no, I've gone for a bit of it should be a bit of a safe bet, and that's Arsenal to beat Wolves. I think Wolves do have goals in them, but they obviously concede a lot after Tottenham put a few past them on the weekend as well. So I think Arsenal at home will comfortably beat Wolves.
Well, I'm not sure if Oracle Rugby or one of the regular punters, but you can just is watching. But you can just check my odds on the multiple there, guys. We've got a 13 to 10, an 18 to 10, a 4 to 1, a 6 to 10, and a 2 to 1. Just one of the guys that is listening has taken that down. Give us the odds on that. But then, Jeremy, you were telling me you've got a fancy in the derby as well. You're a big Manchester United fan. Are you going to be going with the head or the heart here?
Brent, I think I'm going to have to go with the head. I think Manchester City will win the derby. Unfortunately, I think they'll win it by more than a goal. The Manchester City are just frightening at the moment. I think it'll be quite a quiet first 15-20 minutes. Jose will probably set his team up to try and keep them quiet. But the more you defend against Man City, the more that they come at you and open you up and score goals. So. Unfortunately, yes, betting with the head rather than the heart. Well,
Tato Ganato, I hope I got his name right. He's a new viewer, but no doubt probably came through your Twitter account. Jeremy, he reckons the 3rd minute is when we're going to get the first goal. So he's expecting an early one. And I'll ask him to comment, Tato, if you're listening still, who do you actually think will score the first goal? Is it going to be Manchester City or Manchester United? Also, Jeremy, just on your side, you were quite exact about what you fancied in this game. You said 3-1 Manchester City, which is 9 to 1. And I've sort of twisted your arm, guys, because we've got a bit of a promo around what we're calling Brockie's banker here. We got a bit of a promo. So I twisted his arm. I said, go for something a bit short. And we had a look at the betting. So effectively translate to Manchester City to win the game by more than a goal. That's Manchester City on the -1 handicap. And that's at even money. And I will put a slide up at the end. But what GGGaming are going to do here, if Brockie's banker arrives, so that's an even money shot, Manchester City win by more than a goal, and we get a drop goal in the France-South Africa match, then all you have to do is email me with the heading cappuccino, and you can get a 500 Rand free bet. I mean, the guys, he may not be on the show, but I think the guys who are watching live know exactly where that promotion comes from. Only Gary could think of something like that. And yeah, that's it. So if your bet arrives, everyone, well, in fact, everyone will be watching the drop goal first, and because that's of course on the Saturday night, and then pulling for City, and it'll be a 500 bet. I'm assuming we'll give the first 50 just as we do in the other one, but I will let Gary clarify that before we put it on the Good for the Game site.
It's easy as that, isn't it?
Excellent, yeah. And between you banging in the goals and hopefully this one coming, the guys can load up on the free bets.
Absolutely.
Now, Jeremy, you're from New Zealand. I know you've played international football. We were talking before the show. You were saying, unfortunately, you don't get a lot of opportunity, mainly because there's just not a lot of games at international level. What's the next? Have you got anything on the agenda as far as New Zealand football goes coming up?
Look, it's been a disappointing sort of 6 or 7 months. The last game we played was against Canada in a friendly in Spain, and that was last March. So it's been a long while between games. There was rumoured to be a couple of games in this November window against Colombia and Saudi Arabia, but sadly that fell through, which is disappointing for us as a team as well, because the progression, it just means the progression going forward is slower, and it's harder to get that time together to compete, and when the qualifying games do come up. But hopefully early next year in March we can nail something down and get together. It's always nice to see a couple of familiar faces and talk about what we've been doing personally at each other's clubs, and have a really good catch up.
It'd be nice if they could start some sort of rivalry between Bafana and New Zealand in the soccer, eh?
Yeah, that's how I actually ended up here in South Africa. We played Bafana. It must have been 2014 now, over in Auckland, and a couple of the Sundowns boys were there, and they're always talking about how cold. All they can remember about the country was how cold it was. At the time, Gordon Egerson was coach of Bafana, and then he took the Supersport job, and he was after a striker, and I must have done something well enough in that game to get a phone call, and we haven't looked back. We really love it here in South Africa. We've been here just about 4 years now. Excellent.
Well, I mean, it's great to have it, and I was amazed. I got a lot of messages on Twitter last night when you scored. I wasn't actually watching the game. In fact, I had to search for it. It was on, I think, 2:10 or something like that, and guys were messaging me and saying, Brockie scored. How do we claim our 500 bet? And it wasn't even something we've really mentioned on the show that much. So I was scrambling and letting guys know how to claim the bets. But after that, I watched a bit of the game, and the commentators couldn't stop mentioning your name. So they were obviously very excited that you got on the score sheet as well. But Jeremy, being from New Zealand, I think I know the answer to this one. You've obviously got an opinion on the rugby as well. I mean, you've got New Zealand playing England this week at Twickenham. Certainly, this was being touted a couple of years ago as a fixture everyone wanted to see. I guess it's fair to say England aren't playing quite as well as they were, and New Zealand actually started as quite firm favourites, around 13.5 points. What do you make of this one? Do you think the All Blacks are going to win it comfortably?
Yeah, I think so. If you had have asked me a year ago when England were in very good form, I could have had a different answer for you today. But I think, yeah, they'll do it quite comfortably. What I have enjoyed over the last month or so is the two encounters between New Zealand and the Springboks. Obviously, the Springboks winning over in New Zealand and going to the wire here in South Africa. It's good for rugby because it's obviously been quite one-sided over the past few years, and makes it an exciting time leading up to the World Cup next year. But yeah, going back to your question, I think the All Blacks will quite comfortably win against England.
Excellent. Well, just to welcome Tato to the show. He got the WhatsApp from GGGaming saying that the show is going live. So good to have you on. And Matthias is asking us, was the 500 Rand Brockie promo a once-off? I can confirm, Matthias, that it's still continuing. So if Brockie scores this weekend, I think you guys are playing Pirates this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. If Brockie scores, you can go for that 500 Rand promo again. If he starts banging in goals every game, I can't guarantee you that GGGaming is going to keep the promo going forever. But as things stand, I did check with GGGaming before the show, the promo stand. So keep an eye on that because it's the first 50 guys who qualify for the voucher. Sure, Nicholas says it's for the whole season. So I assume he maybe read that somewhere, or maybe he's just trying to put GGGaming into a position there. But yeah, certainly gonna be excellent. I think we need a lot of interest in the local football from guys who probably otherwise wouldn't be watching as well. So that's also great news. Just to mention to the guys on the England-New Zealand game, we got one of those promos that we had last week. This will also be done on Twitter. You've got to predict the first try scorer of England and the first try scorer of New Zealand. Don't panic now. I'll bring up a slide at the end and we'll have it on GG Gaming, on Good for the Game as well. But essentially, I'll stand to be corrected there, with 26,500 rands worth of free bet vouchers. If you can nail both of those try scorers, we'll go through the terms and conditions. If there's more than one winner, it will be split. No winners last week because England didn't even score a try, and of course, no try is an option. But I can tell you, if Johnny May had scored early for England, GG Gaming would have been on the edge of their seats because a lot of people had Johnny May. And so you've got to do exactly the same thing this week on the New Zealand game against England. Jeremy, you got an opinion on the Springboks against France this week? France are narrow favourites. I'm sorry, the Springboks are narrow favourites, but I know everybody I've spoken to is going to be back in them.
Yeah, I think I'll back the Springboks for that one. Obviously, a disappointing result against England on the weekend, and I think they'll want to right the wrongs and put up a good performance for all their loving local South African fans here, and the South African fans that'll be in the stadium.
That's it. Yeah, it should be an excellent game. So that's going to lead me into the next promo we've got, which is a last try scorer promo. So this one's going to be done a little bit differently. You've got to pick the French and the South African players are going to score the last try. And the difference in on this one, we're not going to run this on Twitter. You've got to email me your entry, brent@goodforthegame.co.za, but we'll run through that in a second. This one, if I recall, and we'll check the slide at the end, is 27,000 rands worth of vouchers up for grabs. So Gary keeps on adding to the pot there. We'll see if anyone can get that. Just saw a classic live comment here. You'll enjoy this one, Jeremy, from one of our regulars and one of our big football fans, Vin Naidu. He's saying, Jeremy, you got to start taking the penalties, buddy.
Yeah, I know. It's oh, I'm sure he's waiting for that free 500 bet, isn't he? So no, look, I do like taking penalties, but there's obviously a procedure and a line, and Gaston's been scoring them at the moment, so I have to wait for him to pass the ball over to me.
Excellent. Well, guys on here that have seen you play quite a lot saying that you're a super sharp sniper and you're going to start banging them in on a regular basis. Jeremy, I'm just going to share my screen while we chat further. I just want to share my screen in a second because I want to just run through the promos with the guys. There's also a Nedbank golf promo which I'll go through. I've just quickly made up the name and called it High Noon. So I just want to go across to the promos. And can you see my screen now, Jeremy?
Yep.
Okay, great. So let me just go from the current slide. So we'll start off here. Derby Fever, predict the minute the first goal will be scored in the Manchester Derby and win a 500 Rand voucher. They're the TNCs, but essentially closest wins. And this is only open to the guys in the live chat. And we've got a good few of them that have entered as well. So that is for the guys in the live chat. Let's move on to the next slide. This is High Noon in the Nedbank. Have an outright bet on the golf winner NGC between 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock. That's on Saturday morning. So it ends at noon on Saturday. And if your golfer shoots any round over the weekend of 75, that's 3 over par or worse, you'll get your full stake refunded up to the 5,000 Rand. Very important to note here, you must phone your bet in between 10 a.m. and noon on Saturday. And yeah, I mean, the way the wind is blowing at Sun City, a round of 75's not out of the question, although your preference, of course, would be for your guy to win the tournament. But if he doesn't win, well, you can get your money back if he does have a really bad round. That's High Noon. These will, obviously, you can come back and watch the show afterwards to see it, and it will also be on the GG Gaming page on the Good for the Game website. Brockie's Banker, we've heard him say it. Manchester City to win by more than a goal, -1 at even money. If this wins and there's a drop goal in France, South Africa, you've just got to email me quite simply with the line cappuccino. Peter Paul, that's how you spell it. Don't worry, I had to look it up as well. I had no clue how to spell it. I actually took it off Gary's WhatsApp. So that's a lovely promo for the guys. Everyone will be watching for that drop goal on Saturday night. And then here we got the England-New Zealand first try double. I won't spend too much time. You guys know the drill. 26,500 in free bets. This one is over Twitter. You must use the hashtag GGGaming Gone Mad as well as @Brent Graham. And there's an example of what your selections can look like. And the final one, we got France v South Africa, last try double. These are the players that score the last try in each team. 27,000 Rand in free bets. The only difference with this competition is you email your entry. You don't go on Twitter. So that is that as far as the promos go. And Jeremy, just remind me, when are you actually playing this weekend? Are you Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock at Loftus Stadium. So really looking forward to it. It should be a sellout crowd, and Pirates have been doing well, but all form sort of goes out the window when you come up with a big rivalry like this. So really looking forward to it, and I've got a good record against Pirates too. So maybe GG Gaming will have to stump up a few more free bets.
Excellent. Well, I'll certainly be watching with interest. And Jeremy, thanks. It's great having you on the show. I know we'll have you on this show, I'm sure, again, no doubt. But I'd also like to get you on our English Premier League show we do at 10 o'clock on a Thursday night, because I can hear, your Premier League, and I'll get you on with Chris Sturdy sometime to talk about the English Premier League as well. But thanks very much for joining us. And just to all the guys who commented in the live chat, thanks very much. Share the show as far and wide as you can. GG Gaming being incredibly generous with the promos, and the more people you get watching the show, of course, the better. Just to mention, Tatu, to enter, you can have a look at the show afterwards. You'll be able to see all of the slides. Tatu, if you've got any questions, just email me, brent@goodforthegame.co.za, and I'll explain to you exactly how to enter. We've got our rugby flagship show, the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. That's coming up at 9 o'clock. I'll be joined by Hendrik Swart, Oracle Rugby, and the Hollywood handsome couch critic who makes his return after a 3-week layoff. And then I'll be talking to Chris Sturdy. That's at 10 o'clock tonight in the EPL. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Jeremy, thanks for an excellent show. We look forward to you banging it in the net on the weekend.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, Brent, and thanks for all the viewers.
Excellent. Vin, if you missed the start of the show, you won the lucky draw. Pop me an email later on. Thanks, everyone. See you in about 10 minutes for the rugby.